Hello and welcome to another episode of a football chat show. Um, I'm slightly happier than I thought I'd be recording this episode this week. Obviously, I'm joined by Jamie again. Jamie, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad.
Good. Obviously, first time in a while we've done back-to-back episodes. There's not really much to catch up on, is there? We've been talking a lot over the last few days. Obviously, the big thing we talked about last week is Liverpool and how poor they've been. Which feels a bit weird now, considering the last two results, especially against Man City. That was one of the best performances I've seen from us in a while, and that is where we're going to start. Let's start with you, actually, looking at it as a neutral. How did you
first things first? Game? There's no neutral about it.
You wanted Liverpool to win, or you wanted City to win?
No, come on, man. I've told you this before. Like when I think about football, I can't deal with City. Sorry, I can't deal with Liverpool, and I cannot deal with Arsenal. Those are the only two.
Yeah.
Leeds probably would have been if I was a bit older, but I'm not. And City, I'm kind of impartial to City because they're just so good. It's like not really there. So for me, it's just Arsenal and Liverpool that I can't deal with winning. So yeah, and I have Erling Haaland, and everybody does, obviously, in FPL, but that's annoying. But no, you're right. It was a good performance. The thing is, to beat City is always a good performance, right? But I don't think it's anywhere near the ceiling that Liverpool have, nor do I think it's near how well City can play.
No.
But I think what you benefited from is, and not great City performance, but also some really great individual Liverpool performances.
Yeah.
So when you've got two centre backs that are playing really well for one game, apparently, that helps. And when Mo Salah decides to turn up, that helps. So yeah, I think there were some players that really were kind of absent for both teams.
But there was definitely a few
couple of like really star players in that game that won that game, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think that. Well, I think the one player who I was surprised was absent for Liverpool, especially, was Firmino. Yeah. Very, very anonymous. I said it to my dad about 5 minutes before half time. I said he's not been in this game because whenever he got it, he kind of just like fumbled with it. It looked like a Firmino performance in the last 2 years and not what we've been accustomed to this season. Do you know what I mean? It was really poor. And then I think maybe the only two that I can think weren't up to scratch, and I did say it at one point, was Thiago and Fabinho, but they did the job they had to do, which was like breaking up the play. It was maybe the way I went, I don't like this performance, is like Thiago wasn't spraying it as often as he could.
It wasn't a luxury performance, was it?
No, but it was a really battling, really digging deep performance. But then I think from Liverpool, every other player, especially people like Gomez and Milner, were like outstanding. Milner especially, because he played Foden in this fixture last year and got torn apart, like hammered. Probably should have been sent off, but wasn't. And then today, on Sunday, it was a complete opposite performance. Like, he looked like the veteran that he is in terms of knowledgeable. He was helped a lot by Harvey Elliott. There's no doubt about that. I think that it went under the radar how good Elliott and Jota were, maybe because they weren't creating chances, but defensively they got the ball and they progressed it really nicely. And I think Núñez should have been given more time because ironically he was actually quite good when he came on, apart from his decision making. He should have had at least 2 goals. And there was that one right at the end. It's kind of like gone right under the radar when he is one-on-one with Ederson and he scoops it over him.
Yeah,
I'm like, just put it in the goal, mate. I think he was offside, so he was like, "I'll try."
It's quite funny.
But I was like, if you put it in the goal and then get called off, it's not a problem. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it was really, really
good. I've heard the phrase like raw talent before, but
they're using it all the time.
It's hilarious.
It's so funny, isn't it?
So talented, but it's like he doesn't know how long his legs are or something.
Yeah, Steve McManaman says it all the time. He's like, he's so raw, isn't he? And I'm like, yeah, he is, but he's actually good. This system is really good. I've actually written something. I haven't put it on my socials, but I wrote an essay on the 4-4-2 and how impressed I've been because it worked against City. And I think one of the things that helped it work was it got in Pep's head, and Pep beat himself again.
Well, he does that, doesn't he?
But he did, didn't he? Because like within about a minute, I went, City are playing with 3 central defenders, like, and actually playing 3 central defenders. They're not playing Ake or like a Kanji at left back. Do you know what I mean? I was like, this is really weird. And then about 5 minutes later, Gary Neville went, hang on, City are playing 3 central defenders. They're playing a 3 at the back formation. And I was like, yeah, Gary, I told you that 5 minutes ago, mate. Catch up. But that was Pep's downfall because it isolated Haaland. Like Haaland had, in fairness, he had a few like elements of good service, but he didn't have the players in and around him to like lay it off and make the run in behind. You know what I mean? De Bruyne was shoved out wide, and so was Foden, and Silva was also as well. So it was kind of Gundogan and Rodri were deep because obviously that's where they had a lot of the possession, and that was what I liked. Is the commentators and the pundits didn't like it, but I really liked it. Liverpool didn't play like Liverpool. They played really conservatively. The press was like intermittent, and when they did, they won it pretty much all the time. There wasn't a time where we got countered like we have been previously, which was really nice. But Gary Neville went, "Oh, Liverpool haven't come out and played like Liverpool, and it's been a bit underwhelming." And I was like, "But if we had come out and played like Liverpool, we'd be 4-0 down."
Yeah.
So which one do you want us to do? Do you know what I mean?
An element of pragmatism that has to happen against City. It's the same for
everyone. I think Klopp got it spot on. I think when Salah was really good down the middle against Rangers, and we can utilise that because Salah operates quite narrow anyway.
Yeah.
So play Harvey Elliott. And Harvey Elliott, I kind of slagged him off a bit last week and said like he's a bit lightweight, which he is, but he's really confident on the ball. And you can see that he's growing into the men's game. Like he's never going to be a big guy. And I think his eventual position will be the Salah kind of like cutting in, where he doesn't need to be heavy or like heavyweight. You know what I mean? So I think that's eventually where he'll play, and he was really, really good in that deeper midfield role. And so was Jota. I think one of the things that again has arisen is poor officiating. And again, from your standpoint, how did you see it? Did you think it was a bit of the whole game? We'll go on to the VAR call in a second, but the game as a whole, what did you think?
Well, considering I just experienced the United game about 30 minutes before, it was great. It was the best officiating I'd seen in the day. And to be fair to it, it actually, like unsarcastically, was for a while. Because in a game like that, I know it's so cliche and it really pisses me off most of the time when people say it, but you do have to let it go a bit, because otherwise you're going to end up with 6 or 7 bookings in the first half, and that's just unsustainable. However, then when you decide to do it, like when you decide to give that first booking, you have to be consistent with it. I think that's where some referees struggle.
Yeah, there was. I like because they said apparently the referees have been told let it flow a bit more this season in general, which is good. Don't get me wrong, but I think that, and it wasn't just Liverpool. I felt were hard done by. I think Anthony Taylor was making poor decisions all over the pitch. Eventually, he kind of lost control of the game in the final half hour. I don't know what you think on the VAR call, but you watch it back like once or twice and you go, well, it's a Stonewall foul, isn't it? But that's exactly what the VAR's there.
I was like, well, he's got 2 hands on the ball, as in like Alisson.
Yeah.
So that'll be disallowed anyway.
And
And Dad was like, well, that's the new school way of thinking about it. I was like, well, that's just what football is now. And I hadn't really thought about the foul before.
No.
Well, that'll be disallowed anyway. He's got 2 hands on the ball.
Yeah.
If no one has his boot in there, he's got full control of that football.
That's what I was. I'm in an argument about.
And does he go back, and it's just obviously a foul anyway. So I don't see any argument.
Yeah, I saw a few City fans going, "Oh, it's never a foul," and Pep's like, "It's play on until this moment," and I went, "Pep, he played on, and then he went to VAR, so he did exactly what you wanted him to do." Like, I don't know what your problem is here, mate, but there was a few moments where I thought he's not going to give it. And then at the end of the game, Micah Richards said, how many angles does he want? Well, he had one, Micah. He didn't have 3 or 4, and you can clearly see that Fabinho is pulled off the ball, and if he hasn't got his arm on his shirt,
Mate,
it's not.
I don't watch anything halftime or after the game, but in any
Oh,
game.
I watched it because of how like impressed I was with Liverpool's performance.
Yeah.
I
But
thought,
I can't believe that they said that because
yeah,
that's
and,
just
and then Gary Neville, I think he was the only one that was like, yeah, clear foul. Because Roy Keane was like, oh, it's soft, and then Jamie Carragher was like, oh, there was one similar to it against when you played Arsenal. Ericsson was brought down, Martinelli went through and scored, and then it was brought back for the foul.
there
And
was no goal involved in that one, so it was even more dubious. But
he said that split opinion, and I went, Gary, just no, Jamie, just say the decision was correct. Like you don't have to like butter up to Keane, and he's not going to lump you on live TV, mate. He might lump you after, but then he'll lose his job. Do you know what I mean? I was like, come on.
Correct decision every day of the week, I think.
Yeah, and then obviously Klopp got sent off, which he's always kind of on the edge of it, isn't he? And it was definitely a red card. But I just want to talk. Did you see it? He goes, as the ref's walking up to him, he goes, give it to me. Give it to me. And he goes like, yeah, and he's just walking off. He's proper loving it. But
when he goes into serial killer mode, that guy's just a menace.
it's scary, isn't it? He did say in his post-match presser, he was like, I know myself after 55 years, I don't look great in this moment. I know that it's probably a red card, but yeah, but that frustrated me because there was a few times. So like, he obviously for the Liverpool goal, he gave a foul on Thiago for pulling over De Bruyne, but I was like 5 minutes ago, you let that go,
right?
You know what I mean? Like for the City goal, so let it go. And then obviously it was fine because Alisson caught the ball and Salah was off running. So in the end, I was like, oh, it's irrelevant. But at the time, I was obviously quite frustrated about it. And then obviously the Bernardo Silva one, which led to Klopp getting sent off, was just outrageous. I have no clue why that wasn't given. It was in front of the lino. It's a like definite foul, if not a booking. And then Bernardo goes for afters. He like backs into Salah. It's really weird. But it was good to see City head loss. I did enjoy that. I did enjoy Pep melting down a little bit on the sideline. That was quite fun. Did you see him after the goal got disallowed? He's going to the Anfield crowd. And he's like, "What are you doing, mate? Like they're right in there, right in your head." But yeah, it was as I said, City's formation change beat themselves again. They just didn't look as threatening as they should have. They had a lot of the ball, but it didn't really ever amount to much. There was only a few times where Haaland had an effort, but he carved them for himself really because of how good he is.
Yeah.
So that was that. Obviously, you said about the United game. I saw the penalty you didn't get.
The Sancho one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on that penalty?
Oh my God! Yes, of course it's a penalty. I don't understand how. I can see how on the pitch you might not give it immediately, but I don't understand how you can see that on VAR in the angle and not give it.
Yeah.
And not even tell him to look at it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happens.
Mm.
On penalties alone, it probably should have been 2-1. Because there was one early in the game where I think Varane basically just cut off Wilson box, but in that way that centre backs do, where they kind of just shove him away, and you don't really know whether it's a foul or not, but it would be anywhere else on the pitch.
Yeah,
that one. And then the same thing happened to Ronaldo the other end a bit later, and then that Sancho one. And then there was a weird one where Newcastle had a free kick, basically about 10 yards out of their own box. Centre backs, the whistle is blown and plays it back to Nick Pope, but Nick Pope doesn't touch it as if he's about to take the free kick. Ronaldo waits like a second or two, nicks the ball off Nick Pope, and then puts it at the back of the net.
I think that should have counted.
Why? To be fair, I didn't see it. I still haven't seen it in like, actual how it was shown on TV. So I've it's difficult to know really, but obviously Ronaldo got booked and the goal was disallowed. So
yeah,
it's a bit of a mess, it seems.
They said like you can see why Ronaldo did it, but if he didn't, if the ref gave it, it would be a bit more like, okay, well, that's a little bit weird from the ref. Do you know what I mean? So the ref was kind of saving face, which is really frustrating. Was there any other calls I can think of? throughout the weekend? Not off the top of my head. I'm sure I'm missing something. I'm sure I'm missing something blatantly obvious as well. But yeah, I mean the Arsenal game
every weekend, really.
Yeah, there's something every weekend, isn't there? The Arsenal game obviously stopped for the
Oh, that was so strange.
technical difficulties. I'd be fuming, but oh well, it didn't really affect us. We weren't on TV, so
like as soon as Drake mentions a game, it just absolutely breaks.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, so that was that. I mean, obviously Liverpool had a good result in the Champions League as well. United did in the end, after what 35 shots or something like that. Eventually, Scott McTominay found the back of the net.
He was asleep on the bench at half time. It's quite funny.
Yeah, and City dropped points. So City have actually gone 2 games without scoring, which is a rarity, a very, very big rarity for United City. And the one thing I would like to touch on, actually, just thinking about, is Chelsea. Are they enjoying new manager bounce, or are they actually good?
Did you see any of the game?
Yeah, against Villa. I watched like 90% of it. Yeah, and I thought Villa
absolutely battered.
Yeah.
They got battered 0-2. I don't know how that happened. Well, I know things is how it happened, but
I mean, Tyrone Mings, probably the worst bit of goal kicking I've ever seen from Emilio Martinez for the free kick.
Very strange. They were like, "Oh, it's an amazing free kick." I was like, "It's straight down the middle."
First angle on TV, I was like, "Oh my goodness me, what a free kick!" And then they went from the back, and I went, "That is the worst free kick I've ever seen."
I thought he'd done that thing that James Ward-Prowse did last season and just like come across it, and it went top right. Immediately, that's what I thought. I was like, "Well, that's just incredible." And then it occurred to me he hadn't done that, and Martinez has gone 2 steps to his left.
It was really strange
for no reason.
It's like he didn't trust his wall, and he was like,
"He's going to get 30 yards out. You could oh my god, you could go on a bus and come back before the ball gets to you." Oh man.
But anyway, we were talking about Chelsea.
Look,
is it new manager bounce, or is it like, are they actually half decent at defending and stuff like that?
I don't think I could ever question that Chelsea were a decent defensive unit. When you play the way that Chelsea typically do, which at the moment is a 3, they'll always be difficult to break down because of the quality of defender that they have. And that's whichever kind of combination of centre backs they decide to play.
Yeah.
Even if it's become a Graham Potter roulette now. It's quite
funny. Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's like, well, the injury to Reece James is quite big.
Yeah. But there was parts of that game that they played well, and actually Sterling had the chance to kill it, as in put 3 or 4 past them. A couple of times. But
I think it's funny because Sterling is being found to not be clinical. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like, he scored a lot of goals at City, and everyone was like, "Oh,
he never was clinical at City."
But he always had tap-ins, isn't it?
Yeah, he was like the cutback merchant. For City. So when you have to finish off something from 15, 20 yards,
it's not as easy, is it? Have that, Raheem. But yeah, I think that the one thing that confused me about Potter is, like, James is obviously like an extremely effective wing back, and he's actually a good right back as well. But when you lose that, you probably should abandon the system that he's really effective in. And I think that it was a bit of naivety going, "Oh, Ruben Loftus-Cheek can do that," whereas I don't think he can do it anywhere near the level of Reece James. So he needs to like sort that out quick, because James is not going to be fit soon. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's injured for a while. So I think that Potter's got to look at that and think how to change it. I think James is going to miss the World Cup, but knowing Southgate, it will take him. And that's a spot taken up by someone who's got an ACL injury or an MCL injury, whatever he's got. Do you know what I mean? So it's frustrating for Chelsea, frustrating for England. I mean, Trent's going.
Speaking of, I'm surprised by how quickly Trent is back.
I think he wasn't ever injured.
No.
I think he was having an awful game. The injury was a nice cover up, and we were playing Rangers and City, and Klopp went, "Look, we've got the cover, don't worry." And then Konate got injured against Rangers, and he had to be in the team.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, and then it was like, if you're in the team, we may as well use you as a sub at the end of the game. So yeah, that's what I think.
Do you think he'll start against West Ham?
Who, Trent?
Yeah.
I've got no idea, but it leads us on nicely to a next point, which is FPL.
Yeah.
Are you going for him? Have you got him in your team?
So I don't know. Are you going to put these up?
Yeah, I'll put the screenshots up. Why not? From last week. I mean, I'll explain my last week quickly. So I've got an itchy foot. Quick. I'll explain my last week, which was a calamity, by the way. So Liverpool played Arsenal. Well, so Crystal Palace played someone, and I can't remember who it was.
Leicester.
No, that was this week, but the last week they played on Sunday against, and they won 2-1. I can't.
Oh, Leeds. They played Leeds.
There you go, Leeds. So I went, okay, Crystal Palace are decent and they are playing Leicester next, and Leicester are rubbish. So I went, right, I need to get Edouard in, because if someone is scoring for the striker for Crystal Palace, it's Edouard, and Eze is a cheap midfielder who's going to get contributions. Mm-hmm. So I made my subs before Liverpool played. I had 2 banked and I made them before Liverpool played. No, so I didn't get Edouard in at the start. I bought in Solanke, and then I went, no, I shouldn't have bought in Solanke. I'll take the -4. I never take -4s, but I don't think Solanke scores against Fulham, because I think Fulham are in decent form and beat Bournemouth, even though Bournemouth are in decent form themselves. So I went, right, Edouard is coming in. That's a -4. And then Trent Alexander-Arnold and Luis Diaz, who I had both of them, got injured and had red things next to them. Yep. So I went, right, they've got to go, because I've already got like some players that I cannot play every week because I've gone big on other players. So I had to take a -8 from them. Bear in mind, I've already taken a -4.
Yeah.
I brought in Reece James and Saka. Yeah. And then I went, right, that's fine. Reece James, cool. I'm watching Chelsea against Milan. Reece James goes off injured. Oh, that's not great, because his knee's bent the wrong way. So he's definitely not going to be playing at the weekend. And then I went, I think Martinelli is more effective than Saka in the league, at least, because Saka scored in the Europa League. And I thought, there's no way he scores 3 games in a row. And I think Martinelli is one of these players that's really effective. He'll get a contribution, or he gets the bonus because he plays well. So I've gone Saka out, Martinelli in, and I went, who did I go with? I went Perisic, which actually was a half decent decision. I recuperated some of the points that I lost.
You did.
Anyway, so I've taken a -20 and Saka scored. Solanke scored within a minute and 54 seconds or something ridiculous and got an assist. And Edouard got taken off before 60 minutes.
Yeah.
And Trent Alexander-Arnold is now fit. So all in all, it's been an absolute nightmare for me. And I'm not doing very well this season at all. I went very long without getting Haaland, and then I brought him in and everyone had him captained and I didn't. So I lost a lot of points on that weekend. So it's just, to be honest with you, it's just not going very well. But anyway, what are you thinking this week? I think you said you're going to wild card, aren't you?
No, I've wildcarded already. I'm going to free hit. I wasn't going to, but James Maddison made my mind up.
Yeah.
I only have 2 City players because I got rid of one in preparation for this week a while back. But I also have 2 Arsenal players, and the idea was to recoup enough of my budget to get rid of Jesus and get Kane in.
Yeah.
Which would have worked if James Maddison hadn't have got banned and Reece James hadn't have gotten injured.
Yeah.
I could have just subbed back in 3, my 3 bench players, and then made 1 transfer, and I would have been fine.
Easily, yeah.
But now I'd have to take a -12 to get there. Which I don't hate that idea, because I'm all right in terms of points, but I don't think I want to do that.
Yeah.
When there's a token that's for it. What's funny is I had like an hour conversation with my dad, who doesn't play this game at all. He played it a bit when he was younger.
Yeah.
But now just offers, like, he's like my Ralph Rangnick.
Yeah.
A little bit of
you've got to make these changes to succeed.
Yeah. So I said to him, I was like, look, Palace's fixtures are like too good to ignore.
Yeah, really, seriously.
I need to bring in a Palace player. And he was like, we'll bring in Eze then. And I was like, I just don't trust him. I don't trust him.
Think like me, your dad.
Yeah. And then I brought in Zaha anyway. So we watched the whole game, and every time Eze got the ball, he was like, shoot, shoot. And the thing is, Eze and Zaha must be like, they must, in a game, percentage-wise, pass to each other the most. So it's quite funny. Every time Eze gets the ball, he passes it to Zaha. I'm like, shoot.
Yeah.
And then just the other way around. And then neither of them scored any points. So that's great.
Ideal.
I brought in Trossard, didn't do anything. Actually, Mitrovic coming back from injury and getting a 7 was great. Perisic was my cover for Reece James, so for him to come in and get an 8 was really nice.
Yeah, it was really impressive.
I was really worried actually because I have Ward on my bench and I hadn't played him and he got a clean sheet, and I was like, oh, that's just typical.
Literally last week, they played Bournemouth, and I went, they will win that game. Leicester beat Forest, they will beat Bournemouth. Danny Ward conceded 2 in 3 minutes. I went, I'm never putting him in again. Put Dean Henderson in against Forest were playing Wolves. So I was like, there's no way Forest lose that game. Even Forest beat Wolves. And then he didn't, and Danny Ward kept a clean sheet. So it's going bad. So what's your lineup looking like for this week?
Well, in terms of a free hit, it's an interesting week because of, the two not form, but the best team and the form team are not playing. So I'm thinking whichever team plays Wolves, you should have them in defence. And I think that's Palace.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with Gaeta, I think. And I need to think about Gay. He's pretty solid for a cheap option. But Trippier's staying because he's just so consistent points-wise.
I could free hit as well. I'm just thinking that.
Yeah. And then I'm torn because I'm definitely going to play Robertson because he will play. And I'm torn whether to go Gay or to go Arnold, to go Trent, because I'm not 100% sure Trent will start.
Neither am I.
So I'm thinking I might go Gay, and then I'll tell you how that changes my front line. But Trossard's staying, Zaha's staying, and then I think I'll go Mount in there instead.
Yeah, I like that.
There's another one. I can't remember who I was thinking.
Who are you captaining?
I haven't got there yet. Oh no, Salah. That's the one I'm missing.
Right.
Yeah. So probably Salah. Look, Forest are so bad. They're so bad.
We're playing West Ham and Forest back to back.
It's the Forest at the weekend, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I need him after the free hit. But
so I'm just looking at my team now that I have to pick this team for the week, this game week. So it's only Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So Friday I'll have 2 subs, and I'll probably bring Trent back in, and I'll probably get rid of. I've got a lot of money, so I'll probably get rid of like a really bad Villa player, Fulham player or something like that. Anyway, I'm going Danny Ward, Perisic, Trippier, Nico Williams, Tyreek Mitchell, and Zamora from Bournemouth, which a lot of defenders, but all of them are playing different teams.
Yeah.
So it works out quite nicely. And I've got to say, I think that 1, 2, 3 of them could get clean sheets. I think Trippier against Everton, Mitchell against Wolves, and Zamora against Southampton.
Yep.
And even Brighton are looking a little bit under this new manager, so Forest could hold out there. Who knows? Across the midfield, I've going to go Salah, captain, Maddison, Eze, and Reed. Don't know who he is. I'll be totally honest with you. He plays for Fulham. He plays every week.
He gets a few points.
I don't think it's D Cordova. It's Harrison Reed.
Oh.
But he plays every week. So, and they're playing Villa. So, but Maddison has to be in there because I don't want to use my subs, and I don't mind missing that. And with Salah looking half decent, and then I'm going to go Edouard up front against Wolves. You've got to trust that Palace can beat Wolves, and if Edouard's gets picked, he'll score. You'd have to think.
So for my front 3, I think it will be Kane, Wilson, and then either Solanke or Firmino, depending on what I do with.
I'm thinking of getting Tony back, and I will get Tony back after this week. I think Jesus is on a little bit of like a fraud watch, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah.
And
I think I said that to you last week.
Yeah,
he didn't do anything this week.
No, so I think that there's definitely a case to be made for Jesus coming out of the team. But
the issue is, in terms of like good forwards, fixtures are just not good. Like,
yeah,
Liverpool's fixtures are great.
We've got decent fixtures. We've got 3 games in a row where we really should be winning, and we're
you've got one difficult game before the World Cup, and that's it, really.
But even then, if we're in half decent form, the way Spurs are playing, I think we could.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I said that yesterday. Like, Spurs playing against anybody half decent aren't really that good. They'll hold out for a 0-0. And then Kane might steal a goal, knowing how they play. But yeah, no, I don't think Spurs is like a red alert kind of game. So yeah, I think Liverpool players are ones to go for the next until the World Cup. I think
it depends on our form as well. Afterwards, we could be picked for a couple of weeks after. Who knows?
Well, during the World Cup, you get a free wild card. So
yeah, I'm 100% doing that. I'm bringing in all the Liverpool players. Diaz is coming back. Come to me, boy.
The thing is, United have great fixtures, but it starts just before the World Cup and then carries on like 4 games.
Yeah,
split, which is annoying. But
yeah, the only thing is with City and United is I very rarely go for more than one on each team. Like previously, I've had De Gea.
City, I always triple up on if I can.
Yeah, but the thing is, for me, it's like a personal thing. It's like I don't want any gratification from City doing well. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, and I had to go with Haaland mainly just because I was losing so badly.
I see FPL as a reverse bet. So if we're playing Liverpool, for example, and I captain Salah, then if we win, I'm happy. But if we win and Salah scores, I'm also happy. Not in the same way. I'm not happy in the same way, but there's a silver lining.
Yeah. I think that's kind of wraps us up on FPO there. We will. I think if we do this again next week, which maybe we will, who knows? We'll talk a bit more about
it was shit or not.
Yeah, exactly. But we're now on to what we started last week, which is a football quiz.
Oh yes.
You've just seen our beautiful new graphic. What do you think of it, Jamie?
Actually, I rate it.
Good bit of fun. It might not stick around for long. We might make a nicer one. Who knows? But there you go. And this week we're handing over the reins to Jamie. Jamie will be asking the questions to me, which now I'm really nervous about.
I didn't have the chance to be nervous last week because you just fucking did it.
Yeah, but that was probably better for you because you're not overthinking it. You're just going, "Oh, I just sprung it on you." So, do you know what I mean? So, away you go, mate. When you're ready.
Right. How many goals has Mo Salah scored for Liverpool? And I'll give you within 5 for this.
Right. So on the weekend, he became our second highest Premier League scorer with 121. But that's not the answer because you won in all competitions.
That's the answer I have. So
there we go, 121 all-time Premier League top scorer, second all-time Premier League top scorer.
Yeah, maybe Wikipedia only does Premier League, but that doesn't make.
Yeah, I think it might. Just give it a transfer market.
You can have that because you plucked the number straight out without.
Hey, but then I know he's also our top scorer in the Champions League now with like 30 odd goals. So
he's the top goal scorer for an English club, isn't he?
Yeah, so it's like I think it's like 170 overall, maybe something like that. I'm not sure.
Right. 20 managers have won the Champions League more than once.
Yeah.
Can you name 5 of them?
5 of them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ancelotti, Zidane, there's a name I really want to say. Alex Ferguson, Mourinho. Have I got to go 5? And if I don't get the 5, then it's
you gotta get 5. There's 20 of the bastards. I picked the most obvious 5, of which you've gotten 4 of. So
yeah, the other one I want to say, but I really don't want to say it because I'll look like an idiot, and I can't remember if he was in charge. Is it Pep?
Yes, it's Pep.
Get in there.
Yes. Well,
who else is there?
The other ones were like people that I wouldn't expect you to know, but there was conveniently 5 of 20 that were like
Yeah.
fairly modern.
Well, I knew the Ancelotti one, I knew the Zidane one, and then the Ferguson one. I can't believe I forgot that for so long.
Right. True or false? This one. Frank Lampard has scored more Premier League goals than Thierry Henry, Robbie Fowler, and Michael Owen. Not combined, but.
Yeah, true.
True.
Yes. It was the Henry one that I was stuck on.
Really? I would have been stuck with Owen, I think.
No, because Owen weren't there long enough.
I don't think Henry scored as many goals as people think he scored.
No, he was just so good.
Yeah. Right. Messi famously retired from international football before reversing his decision in what year?
It wasn't after the World Cup. It was after the Copa America, and I'm just trying to think of Copa Americas. They're every 2 years or something. They're really frequent. So there was one last year, 2021. Is it 2017?
1 year out, 2016. Unlucky that. But you are right. It was after a Copa America.
Yeah.
The 2016 Copa America.
Fuck.
And then last question. English rock star Elton John was twice the owner of which football club?
Watford.
There we go. 4 out of 5.
That's just bad. So we're level, mate.
Yeah, we are.
4 out of 5 each. Wow.
I was getting a bit worried. I was like, shit.
No, that Messi one was a good one. I rated that. They're good fun, aren't they? I like them.
Yeah, no.
I think one of the ones that I want to do for you is like a Who Am I?
Yeah, I was looking at that sort of question earlier.
I love Who Am I. They're so good. I watch them on like TikTok when they come up, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't even think about who it is. It's better when the other person can't get it as well.
Yeah. So. No, there's an account on Twitter that's like Wikipedia footballers, and it just shows you like the clubs they played for and what year, and you just get it from that. And most of them are like ridiculous because like I played for Barnet between 2004 and 5, and I'm like, great.
Yeah, I know exactly who that is. Do you know what I mean? It's usually what I do is the transfers.
Yeah.
So it's like when they go like Stoke to Liverpool or Liverpool to Stoke, I'll go, okay, there's only a few players that can be. So yeah. I look at that. But yeah, that was good fun. We would definitely keep that up. That's a good little segment. I really enjoy it. I might put the graphic at the start and the end just to like really hammer it home and get people used to it.
That makes sense.
It was a good episode. That I really enjoyed it. Thank you for joining me again. We will do one in person.
We will. Not avoiding it.
Really good episode. Thank you so much for joining me again. Thank you for everyone that's listening. We've really, I've actually had loads of fun the last 2 weeks. Despite the fact last week I was bricking it. It was good fun. So thank you, Jamie. Again, in the description is our socials and the social accounts for a Footy Chat Show. So be sure to follow them. We don't really use Instagram. We need to figure out a way to utilize that platform. But Twitter, we will also I'll try and get better on that as well, because it's just a matter of putting out a few tweets every few days. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me. I will speak to you soon. Like, comment, and subscribe, all that good stuff, and we will see you soon. See you later, Jamie.
Cheers, guys.